Hi, this is Annette at Wild Heart Ranch Wildlife Rescue. Today we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things we deal with during orphan season, which is now. It's begun. We will get several hundred babies in between now and about August, and it starts out with baby squirrels and bunnies and then birds, and this is one of our birds that came in. Now he's a little nervous because he's in a cage, and we've brought him out so that you can see him. This is a barred owl nestling. His feathers are in, but he's still, nothing's long enough to fly. He's starting to do his hop around thing. But he's a singleton. He's pretty mellow because he is a barred owl. Not all owls are manageable as this guy is. And we're feeding him. His appetite's not really kicked in yet. So we're not doing mice yet. We're doing hamburger. Well, some pretty rich meat, ground meat with his vitamin supplements. And he was in poor shape. This guy went into a swimming pool. He floated around the swimming pool. He was hypothermic. He was rescued by the homeowner and brought to us. And it's taken him a little bit to kind of kick in and get his appetite back. But we've had him for a few days, 4 or 5 days, and he is getting his food down. His energy's really strong. But anyway, he's a neat little guy. He is one of the examples of a federally protected bird. Now these guys are your birds of prey. All of your songbirds and your birds of prey are federally protected by our federal government. No one is allowed to possess these animals unless you have a federally issued license to do so. There's a variety of different permits that you can have, but what we have is the wildlife rehabilitation permit. We are only permitted to rescue these guys, raise the babies, heal the injured, cure the sick, and release them. And we have to keep very strict records of this. Anyone that finds a bird of prey, there is some Good Samaritan protection, and that is if you find a bird of prey that's injured or a songbird, you are not going to be instantly arrested and hauled off to jail. You're allowed to be a Good Samaritan to gather the animal from the side of the road or wherever it's found and get it to a wildlife rehabilitator. We ask, above all, don't try to feed or give water to birds if you don't know what you're doing. We very seldom give them oral fluids. They're birds. They grow up in a nest up in a tree. They don't have access to drink water. So they're really not made to do that when they're little. And when you put water into their mouth, their esophagus is on the floor of their mouth. And that liquid goes directly into their lungs. So several times this year, every year, we get in baby birds that were healthy when they were found, and now they've started declining. And I asked people, what did you do? Well, we just gave them water with a dropper. Well, what they've done is they've drowned the bird. It's got water in its lungs. And so, instead of just having a infant to save, now we have a bird that's got fluid in its lungs. So we ask that you never give them anything. And yes, mice is the natural food for these guys, but if they're dehydrated, like this kid was, you can't give them mice. Their body is not capable of breaking down a whole animal and the hair and fur and everything. You got to get their crop going. And we know how to evaluate these animals for what is appropriate for them to eat. And a lot of times when people find them and, their heart's in the right place. And we're by no means criticizing trying to help an animal. But a lot of times what someone might assume is appropriate to do for an animal can make them worse and make our job harder to save them. So that's the big deal with any animal. Just get them warm. If they're cold, hypothermic, get them warm. That's the only thing you can safely do. Everything else needs to be left up to the professionals when we evaluate them, and let us do our job, because nothing is more heartbreaking than losing a baby that we could have saved had it got directly to us. It's very frustrating. And another thing, the mammals. The mammals are state protected in the state of Oklahoma. In my state, you cannot possess a wild animal of any sort without a license. We have state license for wildlife rehabilitation in Oklahoma. We had a little tip with the caller this morning. Some baby rabbits were brought in. They tried to save them. They were in very poor shape. They got them to me as they were dying, and we lost the 2 rabbits. And then, but a gentleman called and he demanded them back. He wanted to keep them as pets. And he was very upset because we wouldn't give him the rabbits back. Well, once these animals are brought to a wildlife rehabilitator, we become responsible for them. And if we were to hand animals over to somebody without a license, we could lose our permit for 5 years. And for me, 5 years without a permit means approximately 10,000 animals that wouldn't have anywhere to go, most likely more than that. So I'm very protective about my permits. And I do not enforce the laws, but I do follow them. So if you're going to call us about wild animals that you found and you have decided that you want to be the one to take care of them, we cannot give you the information that you're looking for. We can't harbor illegal activity with wildlife, and by giving you support to illegally have these animals, we are, in turn breaking the law ourselves. We are always willing to accept wildlife from anywhere in the state of Oklahoma. If you call us, we're going to try to find you a more local facility that has the appropriate licensing to take the animals. But if all else fails, we will take them. We can't always go get them because we're very busy here. We have over 100 babies in care right now, and it's still April. So we're going to get hammered this year. And all of our help is volunteers. So it's really hard to leave this and go driving around picking up animals. So we ask that callers in our area, if you can, bring them to us. If it's a dangerous animal or a delicate animal, we will try to go and get it if it's in our area. But, the main thing is that these wild animals all are legally protected by the state and the federal government. We are licensed for all of them, and we take our job very, very seriously. And if somebody wants to be a wildlife rehabilitator and take these animals in, number one, get legal, get licensed. Number two, get educated. Find a good resource to learn how to do your job properly, and stick to it, be ethical, and put their care first. And we are here to support anybody that would like to do this with their time, because it's a very rewarding job, and there's not enough of us out there doing it. So if anybody wants to get into this, give me a holler, and we'll talk you through it. Thank you, and have a great day. What?